CBS Austin News begins with breaking news.
There have been 121 ayes and 23 nays, 2 present not voting, 3 absent. The resolution is adopted.
In a historic vote, the majority Republican Texas House votes to impeach Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton. This follows a legislative probe that faulted him for a years-long pattern of misconduct. CBS Austin's Michael Adkison was at the Capitol today as this vote happens. He is live now with this historic vote. Michael.
Adela, you could hear gasps in the chamber as the voting board lit up green, showing something like 4/5 of the entire Texas House of Representatives voting to impeach Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton. A historic end to the legislative session as Paxton now faces a trial in the Senate and possible expulsion from office. History being made in Texas in real time. Today, the Texas House of Representatives takes up articles of impeachment against Republican Attorney General Ken Paxton, the highest level impeachment in Texas in more than a century. And by an overwhelming vote, with many Republicans joining Democrats, Attorney General Ken Paxton was impeached by the Texas House this afternoon.
And either this is going to be the beginning of the end of his criminal reign, or God help us with the harms that will come to all Texans if he is allowed to stay the top cop on the take.
Earlier this week, a panel of House lawmakers introduced 20 articles of impeachment against Paxton, alleging counts of bribery, obstruction of justice, unfitness for office, and abuse of public trust, and new allegations of retribution even up to today.
Several members of this House, while on the floor of this House doing the state business, received telephone calls from General Paxton personally, threatening them with political consequences in their next election.
AG Paxton has repeatedly denied the claims of the investigation, calling the process highly partisan and false.
The corrupt politicians in the Texas House are demonstrating that blind loyalty to Speaker Dade Phelan is more important than upholding their oath of office.
And he called for his supporters to peacefully demonstrate at the Capitol. Minutes before the House convened, more than 100 people lined up to witness history, many in support of the Attorney General. In a last-minute statement, former President Donald Trump posted on Truth Social, his own social media platform, calling House Speaker Dade Phelan a rhino, Republican in name only. Going on to call the proceedings election interference, something Paxton, too, has insinuated. U.S. Senator Ted Cruz is supporting Paxton as well, writing virtually all the information in the articles were public before Election Day last November, when voters re-elected Ken Paxton to a third term. Under the Texas Constitution, after a House impeachment would come a trial in the Senate, where Republicans have a similar stronghold. That includes Paxton's own wife, Angela, who serves as a member of the Senate, possibly unfolding what could be more drama in a monumental finish for the legislative session. From here, Governor Greg Abbott will be notified of the move for impeachment towards Attorney General Ken Paxton, and then the articles will be referred to the Senate. In the Senate, there will be a trial. We haven't heard much from Abbott, nor have we heard from Dan Patrick, who presides over the Senate and will act as more or less of a judge through that process, Adela.
Yeah, Michael, this vote wasn't even close. Can you break down those numbers for us and tell us what led this Republican majority to largely vote that way against a Republican AG?
Adela, you're exactly right. This vote, I've got the vote tally right in front of me. It came down 121 votes in favor of impeachment to just 23 against the impeachment. That means that there was significant Republican support. There's only around 60 Democrats in the chamber, which means something like 60 Republicans voted in favor of impeaching the Attorney General, including House Speaker Dade Phelan himself, who rarely votes on legislation, but he decided that he was also in favor of the articles of impeachment. You may remember that this whole escapade began earlier this week. We first learned of the investigation when Paxton had called on Phelan to resign. I will also mention there was one sole Democrat, who did not vote in favor of impeachment, but decided that he was not going to vote in the matter, saying he wanted to leave it to the courts, Adela.
General Ken Paxton, he emailed a statement to all of us, actually pushing back on this, also releasing the reports. What does releasing the reports get him, and what does his pushback say?
And Adela, you were at that press conference yesterday, as was I, and we know that Paxton has been pushing back on these allegations essentially all week. And if you want to stretch back to when the allegations first arose, he's been pushing back pretty much since then, years and years ago. But really, he's been insinuating that the committee did not do a correct job in investigating these procedures. And he has also said that they were not given enough notice, which is what we also heard on the House floor today. And he also argued that he himself in his office were not given opportunities to speak correctly to the committee. I will note, though, this committee only began investigating when Paxton himself had requested taxpayer funds to go towards a $3.3 million settlement with whistleblowers. He went to lawmakers, asked for taxpayer funds to go towards that settlement. This committee then began investigating, probing into the background of that settlement, and that's where we are today after these articles of impeachment were issued and now voted upon, passed by the House of Representatives. Adela.
And let's talk about suspension. You mentioned this briefly. He will be suspended. Does that happen immediately? He did send out that statement on official Attorney General letterhead.
That's a good point, Adela, and we were working to figure that out. The question at hand, as you mentioned, is in the Texas Constitution. It says that anyone who has been impeached by the House of Representatives is suspended from office until a verdict comes from the Senate. The question is whether that happens as soon as the House passed it or did not. From what I heard, it does sound like it is immediate. There's nothing indicated that it would take some time. We likely will know more if and when Governor Greg Abbott would name a temporary replacement to fill that role of Attorney General. That's arguably the next logical step in this process. Should he come out and name someone as the replacement, the obvious implication would be that Ken Paxton is no longer filling that role from the time being. And as mentioned, from there, it would come up to the Senate to decide whether or not to convict him or to put him back into office. Adela.
All right, thank you very much. Michael Adkison reporting from the Capitol. He is going to have much more on this tonight at 10 o'clock. Thank you, Michael. Let's talk about Ken Paxton, long under a dark cloud since his first campaign in 2014 on at least two separate matters. The more recent matter concerning a donor and whistleblowers in his office first came to light in October of 2020. It is unrelated to the first case, but ended in a settlement for wrongful termination for that $3.3 million Paxton asked for, which led to this. Allegations of fraud first emerged in 2014 and legal proceedings began in 2015 on a fraud case unrelated, but they have been stalled for years.
So we have an attorney general, and we have, since he was elected, pretty much, who has been indicted on fraud charges. How did that not disqualify him from office in the first place?
For those, for legal reasons, it's important that people who have not been convicted of crimes not be prevented from running for office.
And once again, Ken Paxton not actually convicted. You can follow we're going to have the timeline tonight at 10, a breakdown of everything that's happened since 2014. You can follow these latest developments in this breaking news online and on air at cbsaustin.com. Now, with 2 days left to go in this legislative session, the Texas Senate votes to adopt the House version of Senate Bill 18, which codifies tenure in state law, according to the Texas Tribune. This was originally a bill that would have banned tenure. The bill now heads to Governor Greg Abbott's desk. Leaders on Capitol Hill in Washington say a deal on the debt ceiling is close. The major issues that still stand in the way. On Capitol Hill, debt ceiling negotiations are coming down to the wire. Congress now has less than 9 days to lift the nation's debt limit. Leaders on both sides of the aisle say a deal is close. Republican House Speaker Kevin McCarthy says today he hoped to hold a vote on lifting the debt ceiling as soon as Tuesday. Top Republican negotiator Congressman Patrick McHenry said he worked until 2:30 Saturday morning, saying, well, progress has been made. A few major sticking points remain. Issues include work requirements for food stamps and Medicaid recipients, spending caps, and permits for energy projects.
And we're tracking some storms moving across near I-35 in northern Travis County, southern Williamson County. We'll let you know if we have any more storms tonight and for the rest of your Memorial Day weekend forecast.
The parents of a woman killed in a San Marcos crash involving an 18-wheeler are now suing the trucking company. This incident happened last Friday on I-35 near McCarty Lane. Olivia Vasquez's family says she was on her way to work when the tire of a truck carrying gravel blew out. The truck then crossed 3 lanes of traffic, hit the median, and dumped the gravel into the southbound lane. The family's attorney says the gravel crushed Vasquez in her car. Now the family is suing the trucking company, claiming the driver of the 18-wheeler failed to properly inspect his truck.
The issue, though, is why. And according to the officer's report, at least preliminarily, it appears as though one of the tires or more were slick, meaning they were bald.
The lawsuit also adds that the driver was speeding and distracted at the time of the crash and that the driver had a poor driving history, including a DUI in 2022.
Now, your Storm Tracker weather with meteorologist Austin Burks.
Mother Nature's trying its best to ruin some outdoor plans across central Texas. A closer look at some thunderstorms that are actually slowly starting to decay, moving through the Round Rock area, Leander, Cedar Park, some heavier downpours in those areas, but not really expecting much more widespread coverage. This will continue to fizzle out as it tracks across I-35, eventually towards Manor here in the next 5 to 15 minutes. Other than that, pretty good rainfall, beneficial across western portions of Williamson County towards portions of Liberty Hill, maybe up to ½ inch, greater extending all the way to northern portions of Burnett County. Really good beneficial rainfall. Didn't really expect it today, but we'll take anything we can get for this time of year. It's all thanks to a system that's off towards our south and west, a high pressure system that's given us a northwest flow aloft and even more severe weather across the Big Bend area of Texas and eastern New Mexico. Looking at a severe thunderstorm watch until 10 p.m. for those areas. Not expecting the activity to move its way here, but still have to keep an eye as we'll watch those decaying storms move close to our region as you go later tonight and into your Sunday forecast. So right now, models, take it for a grain of salt. They really haven't handled this situation very well. Showing a couple of isolated thunderstorms north of Del Rio. We'll have to watch for those maybe moving into our western counties as we go into the later afternoon hours for your Sunday. Watching for the hill country, maybe coming their way all the way towards I-35, kind of like we're seeing this afternoon if they do hold together. Heavy rainfall, some dangerous lightning. Just keep an eye on the radar and the forecast as you go for your Sunday. Better chances for rain come for Memorial Day. We'll see a low pressure system that'll kind of teeter-totter from our north to south. We'll see where it exactly goes, but I think it'll stay off towards our south. So the heavier rainfall will kind of stay in those areas towards San Antonio, towards the upper Texas coast, but we'll have to watch for occasional heavy rainfall across central Texas as we go into your Monday, late Monday hours into your Tuesday. And right now we do have a level 1 risk out of 4 for the entire central Texas region to see minor flash flooding because of that heavy rainfall that could be across those areas. So looking at tomorrow, we'll keep a 20% chance for rain, 88 degrees, 81 for your Monday, more widespread cloud coverage, 50% chance for showers and thunderstorms, 40% for your Tuesday. Then we dry out a little bit with high temperatures back around 90 degrees as we go and close out this week. So looking more May and June like now as we go here in the next coming days.
Triple digits are coming. You know they are, right? Maybe not just yet.
No, not just yet. Getting close, though.
Soon enough.
Yeah, we know it's coming.
Right. Bob is here now with sports. A big game in multiple ways tonight for Austin FC.
Anytime you play an in-state rival, it's a big game, but they've got something else on the line. We'll tell you what that is, plus the season on the line, what the Horns did today that they did in nearly every single game this season. That's coming up at CBS Austin Sports next.
This is the Thomas J. Henry Sports Desk.
Cleve Harper took home the doubles title a year ago, but this year, alongside new partner Elliot Spizzirri, fell just short. Ohio State's James Trotter and Andrew Lutschonig took down the Horns duo 6-4, 6-4 in the championship match today. It was the 8th all-time finals appearance in doubles for UT. Harper and Spizzirri had their chances, but just couldn't get a break when it needed it. Now, history doesn't always repeat itself, but today was a day when Texas needed history on its side. A year ago, the UT softball team lost on the road to Arkansas in Game 1 of the Softball Super Regionals, then won back-to-back games in Fayetteville to advance to the Women's College World Series. Yesterday, Texas lost Game 1. Today, the Horns just needed to force it tomorrow. Horns the home team today, but just like yesterday, the Vols strike first, and they do so in the first after Kiki Milloy led off with a double and advanced on an error. Zeta Pooney brings her home with a ground out. Run scores. It's 1-0. The other UT lead stays 1-0 all the way to the top of the 6th. But this is another disaster for Texas with 2 outs. Destiny Rodriguez singles to right to bring home a run. And then Alyssa Washington on the relay for some reason goes to second. That runner at third comes home to score. And it's 3-0 Vols. 5 errors on Texas today. 5. Bottom of the 6th, Vanessa Quiroga just barely gets this one to drop, but it does drop. And that's the Longhorns' first hit of the day. To encapsulate this day, though, the next at bat is Alyssa Popelka, who pops out, and then Quiroga is doubled off first. Turns out her hit was one of only 2 hits for the Longhorns all day. In the 7th, bases loaded, and the error-filled day continues. Julia Kutsoyanopoulos to right goes under the glove of Ashton Maloney. Everyone scores. Tennessee advances to the Women's College World Series. Texas season ends in Knoxville with a 9-0 loss.
Obviously, getting 2 hits, we're not going to win too many ball games getting 2 hits. So we got a lot of work to do. But I feel confident and I feel proud of my team, a really young group of young women. We've got a lot to build on, and it's just a start for us. We've got to make sure that this loss stings a little bit, which it does, obviously, and make it motivation for our team.
Keep on building what we have. We have a lot of young talent, and I think like in the coming years that we're going to have something special.
If it's going to give itself any chance of defending its national championship, the Longhorns men's golf team will need one heck of a day tomorrow. That's when the top 15 advance to the final round of stroke play. UT currently in 27th place, 13 back of A&M for that 15 spot in the top 15. Christian Moss tied for 42nd, and that leads Texas. Wednesday night, Austin FC was offensive instead of offensive in its 2-0 home loss to Chicago. The Fire ended Austin's run in the U.S. Open Cup by allowing just 2 shots on goal all night. It was ugly, but the news after the game was uglier as another injury hits the club. Center back Leo Väisänen will miss at least 2 months with a ligament tear in his knee. Even so, Major League Soccer specific, Austin FC still hanging in there. Just more than 2 months ago, Houston shut out Austin 2-0 in H-Town. Tonight, Austin returns to Houston, a slot ahead for the 9th spot in the West, with a chance to start a bigger push back toward the top.
This game takes on a little more, one, because it is for Copa Tejas. It is against our rival. It is an opportunity to win 3 in a row. I think there's a lot of reasons we take a lot of onus in this game. We're going on the road, so we have to be responsible.
Speaking of going on the road, the Stars are back in Vegas for Game 5 tonight. Dallas trailed the series 3-0, and only 4 teams in NHL history have overcome that deficit to win a series. They got the first of 4 on Thursday. They try for a second tonight. Stay with us. Back after this.
If you have any Memorial Day weekend outdoor plans, just keep a close eye to the radar in the sky. We'll keep isolated rain chances like we've seen today continue for your Sunday, for your Memorial Day Monday with better chances, and then for your Tuesday as well. Temperatures cooler than normal, but then starting to become a little more swampy by the end of the week. 90 degrees by Thursday and staying in the 90s as we go into this next weekend.
All right, get used to it. This is just the ramp up to the real
just
thing.
the start.
We're ways away from 100.
You never know. We got into it in May last year. All right, we'll be back at 10.